Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining me on Moonlight Legends, where we discuss everything supernatural. I'm your host, Damian Knoll. Our first story tonight comes to us all the way from the Netherlands, the myth of the Anask. At the start of every year, an ancient creature would visit every village within the country. Its head was the skull of an elk, and its body was made up of wood and vines. This was the Anask, the taker of spirits. When it would emerge out of the dense forest, the night would fall silent and still. Even crickets wouldn't dare to make a sound. The wind would die as if the whole world was frozen. The creature would stand there and wait. Villages nearby were expected to select a member of their society to give to the Anask. However, not all villages believed in its existence, and so, every once in a while, nothing would be brought. If nothing was received, the Anask would send out a deep humming noise. This noise would cause vibrations that would have been felt all over the land. This hum was the Anask calling out into the woods for its puppets. Soon after, howling could be heard, echoing through the forest as wolves began to emerge. The pack would rush the village, with the Anask following patiently behind. Moving from house to house, the wolves sniffing out the villagers. Once they selected one, they called out to the Anask. The villager's door would be smashed through, and then the Anask would enter. The space would be enveloped in a dark, thick haze. The Anask would use its noxious fog to trap its now prey into a corner. One by one, it grabbed each family member by the throat, stuffing him or her into its trunk-like body. Victims were carried off into the woods, screaming and crying within its shape. If the Anask had more than it could carry, its body would creak and crack open, merging the victims together. Different parts would be hanging out of its body, arms, legs, and faces covered in fear. There was nothing the villagers could do to prevent it from coming back. Every village that refused the Anask would not only have this horror come to their town, but their farmlands became infertile. The Norse believed this creature was sent from the gods as a punishment for those who were non-believers. As a quick reprieve from tonight's stories, here is Nobody Knows by Lost in Stereo.
Nobody cares about me. Walk down the street like I'm not in there. It's the way it's always been. One day I'll notice a change. One chance to play the big stage. The fear it starts to grow. I wanna hear my song on the radio. I see my idols on TV. I'm getting older and nobody's heard of me. Just gotta work my way up. It's everything I could ever want. With the record deal, one of life's roller coasters, I'm gonna scream, singing my own songs, my only dream. Just gotta work my way up, be whoever I like. If I only knew my future was so bright. Travel around the world and see all the sights. If you wanna feel alive, gotta put up a fight. I wanna throw down the books and pick up pen and paper. I'm always getting funny looks, and people say I'll never make it. I'll lie and stare at the roof. I know I've got something to prove. I wonder what it'd be like to live my dream in real life. Nobody knows, nobody cares about me. Walk down the street like I'm not there. It's the way it's always been. I wanna throw down the books and pick up pen and paper. I'm always getting funny looks, and people say I'll never make it. I'll lie and stare at the
Welcome back. You were listening to Moonlight Legends, and that last song was Nobody Knows by Lost in Stereo. Our next story originates from ancient Central America. According to the Aztecs, their gods lived within the earth continuously, demanding offerings to be brought to them. If these gods were not kept satisfied, they would erupt from the ground and
destroy all life
on earth. When the ground shook, the Aztecs believed this was one of their gods calling out to be served. If there is something we all know about the Aztecs, it's that their offerings to the gods included human sacrifice. These sacrifices mainly consisted of people from their own village. The practice of this went on for hundreds of years. Nowadays, these types of beliefs are no longer practiced, nor are they accepted by common society. Or at least, that's what an everyday civilian is taught to believe. Recently, an interview was conducted by a group of grad students from North Keller University. These students were able to get in contact with an ex-CIA agent. The agent asked to remain anonymous. He feared that he was being monitored. The students did not realize what they were about to get themselves into. Originally, they planned on getting an inside look into how the government system ran. Instead, they got much more than they were ever expecting. This interview was recorded in two mediums, on film and in a handwritten transcript. All copies of this film and transcript have been destroyed or mysteriously misplaced. But recently, a single page of the transcript has been allegedly found. This page is very difficult to decipher. It appears that the student who was transcribing the interview had become frantic. The only words that are legible are, "They're all killing us. They want power. They think killing us will give them the power of gods." That was our last story of the night. Thanks everyone for tuning in to Moonlight Legends. I've been your host, Damian Knoll, and have a good night.